Hey, what's up guys? BJ Dell back with a new weekly art challenge review video. If you are new to the channel, basically every week I give you a word to draw in these videos, and then you hop on over to our Facebook group called Keep Creating, a Learn, Draw, Share art community, which the link is in the description below. You share your drawing based on that week's word. So last week's word was doll. So let's see what you guys came up with. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and jump into the video today. The word was doll for this week, and the first one we have is from Suchen, and this one of course is a modern day take on one of the classics, a Raggedy Ann doll. And I say modern day take because I just love, Raggedy Ann was such a retro type of doll, and this one Suchen put her in with the iPad and the Apple Pencil, and you've got the headphones on. I think it's just really cute combining the old with the new on this. I think it's really, really well done. Of course, as you can see, there's no outlines or anything used. Just use the base colors of the design for the outlines itself, and I think it works really good. It has a very loose kind of painterly style on there, which I think works really well. And the one thing with this I was going to speak about, in addition to combining the two different like I said, eras together, is the background here. I think it's really well done. I like the circle here and the way that the blanket she's got wrapped over comes out of this circle here. That's what I try to do with my own personal work, is if you're using a circle background or something like this, having some overlap there always is a little bit more visually interesting than just having it just be, a base design inside a circle. And I think this works really well like that, with this, like I said, blanket coming down here at the side and over here and wrapped around. Let's say this was, a character with its arms sticking out, having the arms come out of the circle up here, or if it was an animal, having the ears poke out from over top of the circle works well too. So I think that's a really wise design choice, and I like how it ties the background into the main design. So very good job on that. Next one up is Erin, and a lot of these today are actually going to be focused on backgrounds. So that's why I picked Erin's as well too. Erin is at Echo Tunes on Instagram, so definitely check him out. I'll put a link in the description to his Instagram. And here's one thing where you have to be really careful with backgrounds. So you see with the hair and the paws here, it looks like maybe missed color in that one in, and then the centerpiece here with the little tuft of hair here. You can see the background color was used for that in the foreground as well. So on something like this, I would not recommend using that same background, just because when you get in with the hair, it looks okay, but when you get into the hands here and the center tuft of hair, honestly, when you pull back, it almost looks like there's big holes in the character, like you can see through him since the background is the same color. So I would have definitely here, kind of went for a different background color. So when you are picking backgrounds, definitely make sure that it makes sense, that the colors tie in together and you don't have, problems like that. As far as the design itself, I think it's super cute. The overall design works well. It's, a very adorable looking doll, stuffed animal, with the lines down here. Probably could have tightened these up a little bit, the way these overlap. And I've talked before on previous videos too, if you've got a large, like swooping circle like this that's going over these two areas here, if you make these lines on different layers, you can do this circle here all in one motion, put the legs in afterwards, and then go back to your circle layer and just erase in here, and you don't have to worry about hitting those lines. And it might make it a little bit easier and frees up some of those overlapping lines there, like where this meets up with the arms and goes over here, and just gives a little bit more clean look to it. So also here with the highlights, be sure to kind of put the highlights here on the outside like you have here. This one's got a highlight on the inside of the ear, and with these you probably want shadows inside there, but definitely a good start. So thanks for sharing that one, Erin. Like I said, Echo Tunes on Instagram, check him out. Next one up is Michael, and I absolutely love this one. Another talk about backgrounds. I think the colors work really well on this. Michael chose this orange for the base color of the background and a yellow here. And usually with yellow, Here you would want to be careful because the dress of the main character and the bow is yellow, but Michael did a really good job of using this gradient around, and it kind of ties in the background and the circle without coming too close to the actual color of the dress. So I think it works out really well. And this is another one of those instances where, I talk about love to draw cartoons, and just the reason why is because you can get so wacky with them. You can just go crazy with proportions and perspectives, and I think this one does a really good job on that one. Michael, of course, went super huge with his open mouth and these super long, skinny arms, and the doll itself, there's a lot of just motion in this overall design. That's one thing that I will kind of stress the most to you is do the best that you can to add some just energy to your designs. Work on poses. Instead of having this girl just standing straight up, in front of you, proportionate to where the left side matches the right side, and it's very symmetrical, and she's just holding the doll. I mean, this has a just awesome pose to it, and I love the direction that he took with this. And check out this tongue. This is my favorite part. This tongue is just so well done. The little dots and the way that the colors move. You'll see he did the darker dots up here, but then either went back in with this color here into the darker section, or just used the eraser and used a different layer. But I just love that tongue so much, and just the creases under the eyes. I mean, this just screams energy, and you can just almost hear her screaming, and it's just absolutely fantastic. So thanks for sharing that one, Michael. Next up is Carl's, and Carl went with a really creepy, cool looking voodoo doll. Said he looked at a lot of different references for this one and struggled with it, but I think the doll itself is just fantastic. I love the line work. I love the shadows. Those are super, super well done. I like too where this part meets here. You've got these creases that come down over top where the fabric's kind of folding over upon itself. And I love the fact too you used multiple buttons here rather than just going with one button set here. I think that really adds to that overall creepiness factor of the design, having those multiple eyes, plus with the mouth here having the different threads across, and these little spike teeth in here just kind of set to and fro is just really, really good. And like I said, I love the shading work. It definitely ties in well to, like I said, that fabric feel to it. It definitely has the nice flow of that together, and the way that the lines here come down at the bottom where these feet kind of fold in on themselves, it kind of gives that floppy illusion. I also like too the arms here. A lot of times with dolls, the arms will taper off, and I like the fact that the arms at the bottom are actually fatter than this top section, just because it gives the feel that this stuffing has kind of worked its way down, and it's just kind of mangled him and made him just not look exactly like he started out looking, and I think that's really cool. Background though, I don't like the background, just to be honest with you. This is one of those times that don't feel as an artist that you have to add a background in. I think the background on this honestly takes away a lot from the overall design. The background, number one, it doesn't have the same look as the design, and this is just done really, really well, and the background just kind of looks thrown together. So that's my advice to you, is if you have an idea, you have a design, and you want to put a background in, play around with the background, see if it works. If it doesn't, get rid of it, try something else. With this one, I think the background color itself is too dark. It's too close to this purple here, which might be the reason why you put the tree in here to kind of break it up. But in the moon itself, the technique used here for the shadows and the highlights and the overall just work of the lines here just doesn't really mesh well with the moon. So you might see, if you go to my Instagram page, a lot of the designs that I do on my Let's Draw channel, I don't add backgrounds while I'm drawing them. When I throw up the finished design, I will just slap a quick, most of the time, just kind of a geometric shape in the background just to add something. I think this one honestly could have benefited from that rather than trying to add too much here and taking away from the overall piece. I would have made probably the voodoo doll itself just a little bit larger on the design, made him the main focus, and then just thrown, maybe a circle or a triangle or a square with, splits in between it. Something like that to where it doesn't draw away too much. And then also worked on finding a different color that works a little bit better, that makes the main element shine, because this is so strong here and it's just kind of detracting with the background that's used. But fantastic job. I absolutely love the doll, Carl. So thank you so much for sharing that one. Next up is Jeannette. She's got this very classic cloth doll, and I just love this one so much. There's, no heavy line work used. Once again, the colors of the doll do all of the work itself. There's no lines, and the colors used for the actual doll skin, I think, are just spot on. I like the stitching too, that you went light with that. It's not heavy and dark, and it kind of just blends in to the overall color. I think that's really well done. And just the attention to detail on this fabric. Number one with this, I can picture, this fabric in real life. The colors that you used here and the way that you blended all these together is just absolutely fantastic. Same thing here with this pink part around, just the extra detail of putting the extra colors in there. Same thing with the braids here with all this coming down. I love the colors. They pop, and this really looks, despite looking, illustration-ish and cartoonish, it looks realistic because this is what that doll would look like in real life. And I just love all the attention to detail, even with the flowers here adorning the top, and it's just super, super good. So thank you so much, Jeannette, for sharing that with us today. I just love that one. And last but not least, we've got Ken. And Ken did a Raggedy Andy. So we had a Raggedy Ann to start out. We've got a Raggedy Andy to finish. And this is fantastic. Ken, this is honestly one of my favorite things that you've shown so far in the group. I love it so much. Number one, let's start out. The framing I really like, with the white around and then the black thin line in the center that goes into the design. Raggedy Andy himself, the line work here on the outside is just fantastic. I love the heavy black stroke that you used, and I like the attention to detail that once the lines went inside the body, you'll see here the lines got thinner. So he didn't use the same heavy black stroke throughout the interiors of the design. It's just for that outer edge. So, the parts here where the sock meets the shoe, the lines of the stitching here, everything has that lighter, and I've talked about that before in my previous video about line weight. So if you've not watched that one yet, go check that out. In addition to that, I like the blending that you did here with the shadows. Instead of doing a hard line shadow, I like that blending there up into the face and around the hat and the glove itself. In addition to that, the background is just great. So I talked before on the previous one by Carl about, combining two different styles, and that didn't really work on this one. On this one with Ken's, I think it really does work. I like this very washed out watercolor look. I think it looks very, very good, and it's a huge juxtaposition between, this hard, heavy outline character that looks very cartoony and this almost, realistic watercolor painting style. I think they work really well. It draws your attention into the character without losing too much of the background, and I just like how it's done. I think it works really well. Like I said, a lot of times you don't want to combine two styles like this, but Ken did a fantastic job of making it work. I like the muted colors too, to where you have kind of the brighter focus, the brighter colors being the Raggedy Andy doll, and these have more of a kind of earth tone, muted natural color to them. And I think it works really well to, like I said, draw your interest and your eye to that center piece. So those were the few designs this week that I picked for doll, and that is it. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. As always, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. If you like today's video too, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the bell for notifications so you can get alerted when I post new videos. Also want to thank everybody that submitted designs this week. You guys blow me away week in and week out with the stuff that you're coming up with, and I love seeing it. And if you want to possibly see your work featured in an upcoming video, definitely hop on over to Facebook after the video. Keep creating a Learn, Draw, Share art community. The link is in the description below. We want you guys to be in there, and we want to see your work, so definitely hop on over and join us. So last week's word was doll. This week, want to do something kind of based on a submission from 2 weeks ago. Jane had actually submitted a Star Wars design based on a tarot card. So I thought tarot cards would be really cool this week. So if you want to use, some of the tried and true tarot card tropes like, death and fortune and so on and so forth, and then kind of throw in your own mix to it, definitely want to see what you guys can come up with. I think this one will be a lot of fun. Also, if you guys are looking for more than just one word to draw a week, just a reminder, I do have the Keep Creating sketchbook available on Amazon 365 drawing prompts for you. If you follow along with this, you'll draw one word a day for a year, and then you can look back after the year and see how far you've come. It's the best way to get better at drawing is to practice every day, and these are 365 drawing prompts to kind of guide you along the way. The link is in the description for that below too. As for me, I can be found online, bjdell.com, as well as on Instagram and Twitter, bjdell. So until next time, keep creating.